Many countries have spent enormous amounts of money on wars, but the United States has spent so much on warfare that the numbers almost sound unbelievable. In fact, one war ended up costing the equivalent of nearly $15 trillion in today's money. Yes, you heard that right, $15 trillion. In this video, we're counting down the 5 most expensive wars in American history. What's fascinating is that the combined spending of all the other countries involved in these conflicts still doesn't come close to matching what the United States spent on its own. But here's the real question. What did America actually gain from these wars? As we go through the top 5, you'll see that some conflicts helped turn the United States into the world's dominant superpower, while others consumed trillions of dollars without delivering the results America had hoped for. But before we begin, there's one important question to answer. What is the biggest expense in a war? Most people assume it's tanks, bombs, and missiles. In reality, the largest cost is military operations. Feeding, transporting, paying, and providing medical care for millions of troops costs an enormous amount of money. Add in fuel, aircraft maintenance, vehicle repairs, logistics, and daily military missions, and the bill quickly reaches hundreds of billions of dollars. And here's the surprising part. The spending doesn't stop when the fighting ends. Veteran health care, pensions, reconstruction efforts, and interest on war-related debt can continue costing governments money for decades. Now let's begin the countdown. At number 5 is the Vietnam War, which lasted from 1955 to 1975. The Vietnam War stretched across roughly 2 decades. At the time, the conflict cost about $168 billion, which is roughly $1 trillion in today's dollars. Throughout this video, all costs are adjusted for inflation. That's because $1 billion in 1975 did not have the same value as $1 billion today. Without inflation adjustments, older wars would appear far less expensive than they really were. It's also worth noting that America did not bear every dollar of the cost alone. Its allies contributed as well. However, the United States was by far the largest spender. On one side stood the United States and South Vietnam. On the other were North Vietnam and its allies. America deployed overwhelming military power. Millions of tons of bombs were dropped, vast areas of jungle were destroyed, and advanced weapons were used on a massive scale. Washington believed it could achieve its objectives, but things didn't go according to plan. In 1975, North Vietnam emerged victorious and reunified the country. So after spending the equivalent of nearly $1 trillion, what did America gain? The spread of communism in the region was slowed for a time, but the war's primary objective was never fully achieved. In short, despite enormous financial costs and heavy casualties, the United States failed to secure the outcome it had originally sought. But the next war would cost America even more. At number 4 is the Iraq War, which began in 2003. In 2003, the United States and its allies invaded Iraq. At first, many believed the operation would be completed within weeks, and initially it seemed that way. Saddam Hussein's government collapsed quickly, but the real challenge began afterward. Insurgencies, terrorist attacks, and prolonged military operations continued for years. Instead of ending quickly, the conflict dragged on. And the cost? Approximately $2.4 trillion. So what did America gain in return for such an enormous investment? The removal of a hostile government, increased influence in Iraq, and a stronger military presence in the Middle East. However, many experts argue that those gains were relatively limited compared to the staggering financial cost. And now we move to a war that reshaped the world itself. At number 3 is World War I, which lasted from 1914 to 1918. In today's dollars, the war cost an estimated $3 to $4 trillion. This wasn't just another conflict. It was a war that brought centuries-old empires to an end. The world's major powers were divided into opposing alliances. Millions of soldiers fought in brutal trench warfare for years. For the first time, tanks, submarines, machine guns, and chemical weapons were used on a massive scale. When the war finally ended, the German, Ottoman, and Austro-Hungarian empires had collapsed. And America? America emerged stronger than before. Its industries expanded, its economy grew, and its influence in global affairs increased dramatically. In many ways, this was the war that laid the foundation for America's rise as a major world power. But the next conflict would cost twice as much. At number 2 is the War on Terror, launched after the September 11th attacks in 2001. Following the attacks of September 11th, 2001, the United States began a global campaign against terrorism. The conflict extended far beyond Afghanistan and Iraq, reaching multiple regions around the world. For nearly 2 decades, America conducted military operations, intelligence missions, and counterterrorism campaigns on a massive scale. Advanced drones, special operations forces, intelligence networks, and global deployments required enormous spending. The total cost reached approximately $8 trillion. Al-Qaeda suffered major losses. Several of its key leaders were eliminated. And in 2011, Osama bin Laden was killed. But what was the final result of such a massive investment? The United States strengthened its global counterterrorism network and weakened several major terrorist organizations. Yet the cost was immense. Trillions of dollars spent, thousands of American lives lost, and years of instability across multiple regions. And now, it's time for the most expensive war of them all, the conflict that helped transform America into a superpower. And at number 1 is World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945. Adjusted for inflation, this war cost an estimated $14 to $15 trillion. It was the largest and most destructive conflict in human history. Dozens of nations were involved. Tens of millions of soldiers fought, and nearly every corner of the world was affected. Thousands of tanks, thousands of warplanes, massive naval fleets, submarines, and billions of rounds of ammunition. Entire economies were converted into wartime production machines. In the United States, automobile factories began producing tanks, military vehicles, and aircraft. Industrial output surged so dramatically that America became the primary arsenal of the Allied powers. And now we arrive at the answer this entire video has been building toward. What did America gain from all of this? The United States emerged as the world's most powerful economic and military force. Its industrial capacity reached unprecedented levels. Its global influence expanded dramatically, and for decades afterward, it played a central role in shaping the international order. If Vietnam was one of America's most disappointing military experiences, World War II was the complete opposite. This was the war that transformed the United States from a powerful nation into a global superpower. Germany and Japan were defeated, the political map of the world was redrawn, and a new era in international politics began. With an inflation-adjusted cost of nearly $15 trillion, World War II remains the most expensive war in human history. Now it's your turn. Which of these 5 wars do you think benefited America the most? And which one was its biggest financial mistake? Let me know in the comments below.